You are standing at the head of a table you are not allowed to sit at. It is carved from solid oak, and around it 4 of the richest men in California are burning Cuban cigars, flicking ash onto railroad maps worth more than entire towns. They are shouting about mining shares that will collapse before sunrise. And you are pouring the wine. You wear a starched white apron. They believe you cannot read. They believe you cannot count. They believe you are invisible. That mistake will make you one of the wealthiest people in the American West. You are Mary Ellen Pleasant, and the gold in this room does not belong to you, not yet. But to understand how you came to own this city, we have to go back to the beginning, to a beginning so deliberately buried that even you will spend your whole life refusing to name it out loud. You were born around the year a comet is said to cross the sky, somewhere in the American South. There is no ivory cradle. There is no gold-dusted baptism. There is no dynasty waiting to crown you. There is only the thing that hangs over the cradle of a child born into bondage, the knowledge that your body is somebody's property, a line written in another man's ledger, your future sold before you can walk. This is your first lesson, and you learn it before you learn your own face. Power is not what you are given. Power is what is taken from you the moment you draw breath, and everything after will be the long, patient work of taking it back.
You will later tell people you were born free in Philadelphia. You will tell some that your mother was a Louisiana voodoo priestess, others that your father was a Cherokee, others that he was a Hawaiian merchant. You will lie about your origins on purpose, again and again for 90 years. Understand why. A woman who cannot be located cannot be owned. A past nobody can verify is a past nobody can drag you back to. You turn the erasure of your name into your first weapon, your first vault. Mystery is the only fortune they cannot confiscate. As a girl, you were sent north and bound out, handed to a Quaker merchant family in Nantucket, made to work in their shop. You were bright, dangerously bright, and they notice. But they keep your schooling thin, because a girl like you is meant to serve, not to scheme. So you school yourself in the one subject that will matter. You watch how the rich talk when they think the help isn't listening. You learn that the men who own everything say the most when they believe no one who matters is in the room.
Then comes the first named threat, and it is not a brother or a vizier or a jealous queen. It is the law of an entire nation. The Fugitive Slave Act gives any white man the right to seize you on a street corner, swear before a judge that you are his runaway property, and ship you south in chains. You are working the Underground Railroad now, moving human beings to freedom through hidden doors in the dark. There is a price on you. Slave catchers know your name. And so you do the only thing that keeps you breathing. You run west toward a muddy boom town drowning in gold. You arrive in San Francisco with $15,000 sewn into your life, money left to you by your first husband. That is a fortune most miners will never touch, and you carry it into a city that is 90% men, paved with rotting planks over a sea of mud, where the rich throw raw gold nuggets onto tables to pay for champagne. You step off the boat in a plain, dark dress, looking like nothing at all. That is exactly the disguise you intend to wear. You do not arrive in San Francisco hunting a crown. You arrive hunting silence, the kind of silence in which a woman can grow rich without anyone noticing she is doing it. And so you make the strangest decision a person carrying $15,000 could make. You take a job as a cook. Understand the genius of it before you judge it. In this city of mud and gold, the men with real money, the bankers, the silver kings, the railroad barons, they all need someone to run their kitchens, to serve their dinners, to clean their silver while they talk. They will pay well for a cook with refinement, but they will pay you something far more valuable than wages. They will pay you with their secrets, because they believe a black woman in an apron is furniture. They believe you cannot read the share certificates left on the mahogany. They believe you cannot count the figures they shout across the table. Every one of those beliefs is a coin, and you intend to spend them all. This is your first front, and it is the cruelest one, the system itself. The law of California says you may be free, but it will not let you testify in court against a white man. Custom says a woman of your color cannot own property out in the open, cannot walk into the Bank of California as an equal, cannot be seen to be wealthy without inviting men to take it from you. The whole architecture of the age is built to keep your hands empty. So you do what the cleverest fortunes always do. You go invisible. You meet a white capitalist named Thomas Bell, and you make him your name. Your shares, your deeds, your gold, much of it will be registered to him, hidden behind his pale and respectable face. The racism meant to bury you, you turn into a vault. The men who refuse to believe you can be rich will never think to look at you for the money.
Now, the second front, the hunters. The slave catchers have not forgotten you. Out east, there is a price on your head, and any man who recognizes you can swear before a judge that you are his property and drag you south in irons. A lesser fortune would hide from this. You do something colder and far more permanent. You buy the law. You hand quiet loans to judges. You cover the scandals of policemen and politicians. You learn which powerful man visits which woman in the dark, and you make sure he knows you know. When a man owes you money and fears your tongue, he does not arrest you. He protects you. You do not run from the hunters anymore. You make the hunters work for you. And you build the machine that feeds it all. You place your own people, black women you train yourself, inside the homes of the city's judges, senators, and barons. They cook, they clean, they listen. Every fetish, every debt, every panicked whisper about a failing mind flows back to you through a network no man in California even knows exists. A century from now, billionaires will hoard data and call it power. You are doing it by hand in 1860 with a ledger in your head and an apron on your hips. And here is what that apron hides. By the time you are in your prime, your fortune will be counted near $30 million. In the money of the present day, corrected for what a dollar could seize in a young and booming economy, that is somewhere between $4 and $5 billion. You, a woman born a piece of property, are worth more than the celebrities the future will worship.
Meanwhile, outside your kitchen window, the miners who came for the same gold are dying. They wear the same filthy flannel for months. They eat salt pork and biscuits hard as stone. Pneumonia and cholera empty whole blocks, and a man digging for treasure is lucky to see 40. They crossed an ocean chasing the dream of gold. You are quietly swallowing the city that gold built. But money was never the point, and now you reach the decision that will define what kind of woman you choose to be. You have a choice. No one would have blamed you for ducking. You could keep your head down. You could hoard your silent fortune, register everything in Bell's name, and live untouchable and rich until you die in your bed. Safety is right there, and you have bled for it.
Instead, in your 40s, you do something insane. You sew $30,000 into your travels, and you carry it east in secret, and you hand it to a wild-eyed white revolutionary named John Brown to buy the rifles for an armed uprising meant to set the slaves free. $30,000. In the money of today, that is roughly $1 million of your own gold, handed over to fund a private war against the most powerful interests in the nation.
You are not buying property now. You are buying the end of the thing that made you property. And you know that if the note you tuck into Brown's coat is ever traced back to you, the fortune, the freedom, the silence, all of it dies with you on a southern gallows. You sign the note with 3 initials, M.E.P. Then you let go. When Brown is captured and hanged, the government finds that note sewn into the lining of his coat, a friend of the cause and the money that armed the rebellion. For years they hunt those initials, certain they belong to a rich white man of the North. It never once crosses their minds that the shots which nearly tore the Union in half were paid for by a black cook in San Francisco. The hunters cannot find you. The law is in your pocket. Your gold is hidden behind another man's face, and the empire you came to take is finally, quietly, yours. Every great fortune leaves a mark on the earth. A thing you can stand in front of and say, I was here, and I was enormous. Pharaohs left pyramids, kings left palaces. You leave 2 signatures, and you build them at the same time. One is made of mahogany and red velvet. The other is made of law, and it will outlast the wood by 100 years. Begin with the house, because the house is what the city can see. On the corner of Octavia and Bush, you raise a mansion of 30 rooms, a dark, towering thing of imported timber that the whole of San Francisco will simply call the House of Mystery. It costs around $100,000 to build and dress, and in the money of the present day, that is some $15 million poured into a single home. The price of a hand of private jets sunk into walls and carpet and chandeliers. You do not build it for yourself alone. Thomas Bell lives here too, and his wife. And behind that arrangement, the whole city whispers, because the white world cannot imagine any reason a black woman would hold the keys to a white millionaire's house unless something unnatural binds them. Let them whisper. Walk through your house and use all 5 of your senses, because this is what your gold has purchased. You see it first. 30 rooms paneled in rare dark woods shipped around the Horn, walls dressed in red velvet so deep it drinks the gaslight, crystal hanging from the ceilings in pieces heavy enough to kill a man if the chain ever gave. You smell it next, beeswax worked into every banister, French perfume in the upstairs air, and underneath it all the green medicinal scent of eucalyptus, the very trees you ordered planted by the thousand, trees that still line the streets of San Francisco today, a living signature rooted in the ground a century after your death. You taste it at your own table, sea turtle and Madeira wine, French champagne carried across an ocean by steamship, food that a miner 3 miles away, chewing salt pork and a biscuit hard as a stone, could not buy with a month of breaking his back in the cold rivers. You feel it under your hand, Persian carpets thick as moss, the weight of a velvet cape across your shoulders, the cool brass of a door that only opens for people you permit. And you hear it, the hiss of the gas lamps, the wheels of your own carriage rolling over the planks, silver touching china in a house where you give every order. Now understand what stands behind the house, because the mansion is only the crown on top of the machine.
You own at least 3 luxury hotels in the richest city of the West. You own dozens of houses you let to tenants, money flowing to you in the dark each month. Out in Sonoma, you own a ranch of 4,000 acres, a private kingdom of more than 15 square miles, an expanse of California larger than entire towns. You hold a stake in the company that pipes water to the whole of San Francisco, so that every glass the city drinks, in a sense, passes through your fingers. And you hold a position in the Bank of California itself, the beating heart of the Western economy. A woman born as a line in another man's ledger now owns a piece of the ledger of the entire coast. Picture a day at the very peak of it. You wake in a house no one believes is yours. In the morning, you are the housekeeper. The apron goes on, you move through the rooms in a plain dark dress, you direct the servants, you serve the soup. You let the visiting bankers believe they are dining in Belle's home and being waited on by Belle's cook. Your eyes never stop moving across the papers they leave on the tables. By afternoon, the apron comes off. You meet your broker, you move shares, you call in a loan from a judge, you decide which politician keeps his secret and which one pays for it. By night, you are the richest woman in California, signing deeds to hotels by the light of a chandelier worth more than a miner earns in a lifetime. Servant by day, sovereign by night, you wear both faces in the same 24 hours, and only you know how many of you there are. And here is the figure that should stop you cold. At your height, you are worth near $30 million, 4 to 5 billion in the money of today, which means a woman who could once be bought and sold is now wealthier than the singers and moguls the future will line up to envy. You did not inherit $1 of it. You took it out of a country that wrote laws specifically to make sure you never could. But the wood and the velvet were never your true signature. Your true signature is the one you carve into the law itself. The city runs streetcars now, and the rule on those cars is simple and humiliating. A woman of your color is not to ride beside the white ladies. One day, a conductor refuses you. He puts you off the car into the mud, and you, who could buy the chandelier and the carriage and the whole street it rolls down, you do not weep. You sue. You drag the streetcar companies into the Supreme Court of California, and you win. The award itself is small, $500, perhaps $15,000 in the money of today, but the money was never the prize. The prize is that you change the law of the entire state with your own hands so that no black man, woman, or child can ever again be thrown off a San Francisco streetcar for the color of their skin. They will one day call you the mother of civil rights in California, and that title was bought with the same gold you earned serving soup to men who thought you could not read. This is the peak. Picture the courthouse steps. The reporters shout your name, and the magnesium flashes burst into white smoke. A white lawyer spits on the ground in front of you and sneers that a woman of your color has no business sitting beside white ladies. You stop. You adjust your velvet cape. You look him dead in the eye, and you tell him you could buy the entire streetcar line tomorrow if you wished, and that you would begin by firing him. The silence on those marble steps is total. You will never stand taller than you stand in that silence. And it is precisely from a height like this, when a person has bought the law, bought the bankers, bought their own invisibility, that the ground first begins, very quietly, to move.
Here is the price of everything you built, and no chandelier can light it. You are never for 1 hour of your life allowed to be known. Every fortune you hold is hidden behind another face, Every smile across your dinner table belongs to a man who wants your money, your silence, or your secrets. You cannot have friends because a friend is someone who knows you, and to be known is to be capturable. The richest woman in California eats every meal of her life behind a mask, and the mask never comes off. Not for a husband, not for a partner, not for a single living soul. So you arm yourself against the world you rule. Under those heavy, sweeping skirts, against your leg, you carry a loaded Colt revolver everywhere you go. Think of that. You own hotels, ranches, a piece of the bank itself, and you do not walk one block without a six-shooter pressed to your body, because the terror sewn into you in girlhood never left. The fear of a hand on your shoulder, a man swearing you are his property, the long road south in chains. You bought the judges, you bought the police, and still you sleep near the gun. The mask costs you more than peace. The city decides the only way a black woman could control these white men is through black magic. The newspapers begin to call you a voodoo witch. They say you brew potions, that you sew men's names into their underclothes, that you make the powerful sickened and wither at your word. A weaker person would have wept and denied it. You do something far colder. You feed the rumor. You let them believe it. Because you have learned that in the superstitious mind of a frightened rich man, the dread of a voodoo curse collects a debt faster than any contract signed before a judge. You weaponize their fear of you, and the price is that you must wear the costume of a monster for the rest of your life.
And the betrayals are not rumors. They have names and they live in your own house. Thomas Bell, your partner, the white face on your fortune, the man whose roof you share, will fall down the staircase of your own mansion and die. The whispers say you cursed him, and the moment he is gone, his wife, Teresa Bell, who has lived under your roof and eaten at your table for years, turns on you completely. She wants the fortune. She wants the house. She will spend the rest of her life trying to strip from you everything you hid behind her husband's name. And because the law never lets you own it openly, you have handed her the very weapon she will use to gut you. Then comes the Sharon scandal, and it finishes the costume the papers built. Your protégée, Sarah Althea Hill, claims the Senator William Sharon married her in secret. The trial becomes a circus, and you are dragged into the center of it, accused in open court of using sewing and potions and blood to bend a millionaire to your will. By the end, the whole nation knows your face, not as the woman who funded the war against slavery, but as the satanic conjure woman of San Francisco.
This is the paradox you cannot escape. You spent a lifetime making yourself impossible to find, impossible to own, impossible to know. And now, exactly when the wolves close in, there is no one in the world who knows you well enough to stand beside you. You built a fortress with no door on the inside. The same invisibility that kept the hunters off your back has left you, in the end, completely alone inside the walls. You are in your 70s now. The mask is fused to your face. The money is tangled in Teresa Bell's hands. And the law that you bought, the law that you bent, the law that you beat, that law is about to turn slowly and come for everything you have.
The fall, when it comes, does not come with an assassin or a gallows. It comes with paper. Lawsuit after lawsuit, year after year, Teresa Bell and the courts pull at the fortune you were never allowed to own in your own name. And that is the cruelty of the vault you built. Because the deed said Belle and not Pleasant, you cannot simply stand in court and say, "It is mine." The invisibility that protected you for 50 years now devours you. The hotels go, the shares go, the house of mystery slips from your hands. Piece by piece, the empire you took from a country that tried to own you is carried away by the very people you trusted to hide it. You are in your late 80s now. Your iron health is finally failing. Your eyes are going dark. Your mind comes and goes. You who dined on sea turtle and Madeira end your days in a small set of rooms, the billions gone, the chandeliers somebody else's now. But you are a survivor, and a survivor chooses how she falls. You cannot save the gold, so you spend your last strength saving the one thing they could never register in another man's name: your story. The papers have spent years calling you Mammy Pleasant, the slur they use to shrink a black woman back down to a servant, and you will not die as their mammy. You look a reporter in the eye and you tell him exactly what is to be carved over your body when you are gone. "I am not Mammy to anybody," you say. "My name is Mary Ellen Pleasant," and you give the line you want above your grave. Not the woman who owned the bank, not the woman who built the mansion, but she was a friend of John Brown.
Sit with that choice. At the end of everything, offered the chance to be remembered as one of the richest people the West ever made, you choose instead to be remembered as the cook who paid for the rifles, the one who spent her gold to break the chains that were meant for her. The fortune was the weapon. Freedom was always the target. You die in January, in your 90th year, nearly blind and nearly broke, and you die exactly as defiant as the day you stepped off the boat in a plain, dark dress. So follow the gold one last time. It scattered into the hands of Teresa Bell, into lawyers, into the long machinery of a system that would rather see your billions vanish than admit a black woman had earned them. Within a generation, the dollars are gone, as if they had never been.
But follow the name. The eucalyptus trees you planted still shade the streets of San Francisco. The law you broke off the streetcars still protects every rider who boards them. And on the stone above your grave, just as you commanded, the words still read that you were a friend of John Brown. The money died. The name became eternal. You chose that trade with your eyes open. So here is the question before you go. They offered you safety if you stayed invisible, and you spent $1 million in gold to arm a war you could have watched from the comfort of your mansion. If you had built what she built, brick by brick and secret by secret, would you have risked all of it for a cause? Or would you have kept the gold and kept quiet? Tell me below.